Hey guys, Hikari here, and today we're going to be getting into chapter 357 of My Hero Academia titled The Real Thing, A Wounded Hero. And let's just say that this chapter was very crazy. Endeavor really did his thing this chapter, and he went crazy at multiple points throughout the entire ordeal, but the chapter ends with one of the craziest revelations. I kind of thought that it would just be that All For One goes down and that's kind of it, but we see that obviously that isn't the case. But before we jump the gun and we get into all of that other stuff at the end of the chapter, let's get right into the beginning of the chapter. So this week's chapter starts off with Endeavor exactly where we left off last week, and he's hitting All For One with a barrage of punches that are all fire based. He's hitting him and he's not letting up, and we can see inside of the mind of All For One right now, and he's curled up in a ball. He's on the defense right now, and he can't really do anything. And he's saying, "Close, Han." He's saying, "As I predicted, this would happen, but I never thought that he would make me out to basically be the same way that I was during the fight with All Might." And it's after this that we get an awesome panel where he's saying that there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded hero, and we see all Endeavor charging up in a menacing looking fist with fire, and it's just so cool. I love Endeavor's facial expressions throughout the past couple chapters. He looks so angry and he's so unrelenting during his attacks. It's insane, and it's something that we honestly I don't even think we've really seen All Might get this angry and this aggressive during a fight. But Endeavor's doing so good, and he's relentless during these strikes. He's insane, and we've never really seen him in like a sort of feral state like this. So it's just crazy seeing all of the panels of him going crazy, trying to make sure that All For One goes down once and for all. And I think Horikoshi did amazing on those panels. He did excellent, and I couldn't ask for more as a fan of Endeavor. Endeavor is one of my favorite characters in My Hero Academia, so for anybody else that thinks of him as their favorite, you are definitely eating good this chapter. In the next panel, though, we see that Endeavor goes for another close hit on All For One, and All For One, he dodges backwards, but he says, "Huh," and Hawk says too slow, and we see that Endeavor did the same thing that he did during the incident with the High-End Nomu. He put like the feathers on Endeavor's back, and he used that to propel him forward to give him even more of a boost, and Endeavor does a vanishing jet burn with this added speed. Then we see that all the heroes on the bottom of the floor, we have to remember that they're still technically up in the sky trying to fight All For One. So all the people on the floor are saying, what's up with this heat? And then he's saying, "Endeavor, you're supposed to deal with All For One in the sky." And they're saying, "Why didn't you finish him off with the Prominence Burn?" That's what Hawks is saying. He's saying, "I need to get past this guard so that I can hit him for the full force of the ability and not just, graze him because he has his guard up." Endeavor starts saying that, obviously I can't really deal with him unless I use my full powered Prominence Burn on his guarded body, but, I need to get past the defense. And Hawks is saying, "Good that you're keeping a cool head." And he's saying, "A cool head, my blood is boiling right now." And we see him go for an attack, and he's basically slamming All For One back down into the earth. And we see all the heroes reacting, and Kamino is saying, "Yo guys, we gotta move, like we gotta get out the way." And they're saying, "Why do we have to move?" And he's saying, "Because Endeavor." And we see Endeavor grab All For One by the chest. He pushes him down, and they're saying Endeavor is coming through, and we see Endeavor with the menacing looking face. He looks insane during this panel, and we see him start literally dragging All For One across the floor, flipping up trees, flipping up rubble, and basically just changing the entire landscape around them. This is such an insane fight, such a high level duel between the two, and Endeavors is doing everything he can to try and put him down once and for all, and I think it's amazing. I love this paneling in the chapter. I love the past couple chapters of Endeavor just fighting, and he's unrelenting, he's insane, and I really do love what Horikoshi's doing right now in the story. And even crazier stuff is going to happen even further into the chapter. It's after this, though, that we see that All For One is starting to think that, like, man, all these pesky flies, to think they pushed me this far. And he's saying, if I could just grab him and take his quirk. But before he's able to, Endeavor shoots out some laser beams out of his eyes, some fire-based beams, and they completely char All For One's hands. And he's saying that the only thing you've ever done is destroy people's lives with these hands. And All For One instantly shoots back with, "You've destroyed lives too." And Endeavor says that, "I know." And this is obviously him saying that he's not a hypocrite. He knows that he's done a lot of bad stuff, but obviously he's going to try and erase that, or not erase it, but he's going to try to do better and try to help people out in the future. And We see him talk about this in a sort of monologue paneling where he's saying that Toya is the product of my errors. The lives he's stolen, they're on me too. And he's saying that the past is immutable. I can't erase it. The wrath, the resent woven together, the fabric of the future. And he's saying that what is the future? It's a path for the youth to tread on. It's the endless possibilities. It's what I must prevail so that the sins of us adults don't become an insurmountable object in the way of the youth. And he's basically saying that he's going to bear everything on himself. He's going to be the person that everybody hates, everybody thinks did wrong, and he's going to be able to move forward knowing that he is the reason that a lot of things went bad, and he's okay with that. And he's saying that he's never going to stop hating himself. This is very, very important that Endeavor says all of this, since we know that he isn't trying to say that he didn't do anything bad in the past, and he isn't even trying to ask for forgiveness at this point. He understands what he did is, horrible. He understands what he did is probably never going to be accepted by a lot of people, but he's going to move forward with the fact that he hates himself for that, but he doesn't want everybody else to get tripped up because of his mistakes from the past. So he's going to continue to try and do whatever he can to help everybody else out, help the youth out, while also keeping in mind that it's his fault that a lot of bad things have happened. And it's after this, though, that we get into the final couple panels of the chapter, and this is where things get pretty crazy. So we see that he does a prominence burn on All For One, and All For One is charred. He should be done here, and he's saying, even himself, he's saying he's dead. But we see Hawk say, "Get away, Endeavor." And All For One starts to say, "Did you really believe that I would step onto the stage without some aces up my sleeve?" And he's saying that you should know that this body is well past its expiration date, but I have no use for it anymore, and that's why there's a little something I'd like to try. And we see the final panel of the second to last panel of the chapter where All For One is regrowing his ear and his eyeball. So for some reason, and he most likely did something using the quirk bullets that were made by Ares, since we see her in the previous panel, he's able to start regenerating himself. So we don't exactly know what the implications of this is. We don't know if he's literally like reversing himself to pre-All Might fighting, the fight with All Might, to where like he actually had all his body parts, his eyes and everything. We don't know what is going on here, but this is very insane. And he's saying that villains are also most dangerous when they're wounded. And I don't know what's going on here. I honestly don't know. The most plausible thing, I guess, would be that he's reversing himself to pre-All Might, when he has sustained all that damage, but we don't know exactly what this could mean. And the chapter actually ends off with the first user, or the vestige of him, having a very scared look on his face, and he's saying that Midoriya-kun, I have a bad feeling about this. And we see that there's something waiting for Midoriya, or either it's something waiting or that's actually All For One and everybody else, but we know something bad is going to happen here. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's not going to be good for the heroes, and that's where the chapter ends. So what we can gather from this chapter is that All For One is most likely going to try and revert himself to pre-All Might damage, to where he was probably at his strongest, or he might be doing something else completely different, but we honestly do not know at this point what it could be that he has up his sleeve. So only time will tell what he's going to be doing in the next couple chapters, and I'm all for it. I'm ready to see what he pulls out of his bag. And this is crazy. I didn't think that the fight with him would go on like much longer. I thought it would be ended either solely with Endeavor, or it would be everybody puts a team effort in to end him, but this is pretty crazy. And I'm all for the next couple chapters. But like the video if you liked it, and honestly subscribe to the channel if you do like videos like this, discussion type videos and just chapter reviews. I do a lot of these, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of these in the future. So if you liked the video, liked it, and just tell me your thoughts about the recent chapter, or this chapter, in the comments. Tell me what you liked, what you disliked, and what you feel might happen in the next couple chapters. But without further ado, I'm out. Peace.